Okay, so a lot of news last night, huh? A lot of news that they swear is actual news and not just speculation on their part this year. They made a very specific point that it's actual news. They went out of their way to make the point that this is all definitely happening regardless of regardless of any global catastrophes again that may throw a wrench in all the plans, like some like some earlier big announcements we could know. And yet, the entire ceremony could have been a lot shorter if they just stuck to the actual news and not the countless musical numbers. I got to talk about the show first because I watched a live stream. We were so obviously I'm here. I'm not at D23, even though I live in Anaheim. I am not at the convention. Everybody else who lives with me is. Allie is working a booth. She's working the Loungefly booth, and Gabby is attending today. And Charlie and Haley are staying with us this weekend. They're also attending today. I know it looks like the Anaheim Convention Center, doesn't it? It looks just as packed as the Anaheim Convention Center, but alas, this is my own apartment. So I'm not at D23, but we were able to find streams of the live streams of the Horizons panel located at the Honda Center, the very hockey rink where Allie and I got our marriage license 4 years ago. So the show itself, I didn't even dislike most of the individual musical numbers. There were just, so many of them. And I feel like they were really trying to make it a show to warrant using the huge stadium. And it's like it was kind of fun how Mad Tea Party opened the show. I saw Mad Tea Party on that stage and I was like, oh, so I guess Hiatus isn't playing Summer Nights tonight. Because I have my loyalties. And that was fun, but then there were just so many musical numbers because then we got I did like the Patrick Warburton the Soren pre-show sketch. I enjoyed that sketch. I liked that they seemed to get the same These Little Beauties extra back. And I'm pretty sure Caitlin Robrecht was also in there, the voice of Minnie Mouse. I'm pretty sure she was also in that sketch. So that was all fun. And then they briefly showed a clip from the Full House Disney World episode, which made me laugh. But then it just segued into the actual John Stamos performance. And it's like, oh, now Stamos is going to babble for a while about how much the parks mean to him and all of his fond memories of allegedly making female tour guides very uncomfortable. And then after that, there was the Darren Criss Skylar Astin musical number. And I like Darren Criss. I like Skylar Astin. He is Skylar Astin is easily one of the top two Gregs from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And I love award show mild parody song bullshit. And I would have liked that whole segment a lot more were it not immediately following all the Stamos stuff that went on forever and ever. I would have, if it had just opened with that, I would have been fine with it. But the Stamos stuff dragged it down, and then there were just so many other musical numbers. And then, midway through the show, Darren Criss and Skylar Astin come back to do more Billy Crystal parody, Oscar parody songs. And I think I was saying boy, they're really Billy Crystaling here, only to build up to the reveal of actual Billy Crystal. I liked most of Deadpool's jokes. Again, it's not so much individual issues I had with any of the individual segments. It's more of just that there was so much that wasn't, the thing I was there to watch and the information I was there to get. I believe about 10, 15 minutes into the stream, Charlie said something along the lines of, when are we going to get to the literally anything factory? But like the Deadpool stuff I thought was funny. And yeah, I liked most of the individual musical numbers. It was just so many of them. Yeah, a couple of false starts and a lot of false endings. I mean, I would not complain. I was wondering if Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor would move to the new Monsters Inc. land. We'll talk about the Monsters Inc. land. We'll talk about the individual actual announcements. See, I liked that number, but there was no reason it had to be in the Parks panel. It could have been in the Marvel panel. You know what I mean? But I'll say everyone who was on the stage was a much better showman than Chapek ever was back when he would host this panel. So let's actually, yeah, exactly. Again, I don't even have a specific song I would point to and say that's the one that needs to go. It's just like, why so many of them? It's like, I don't know, maybe trim pentatonics, maybe like, I guess cut All for One, just because that was the number with the most tenuous connection to what was actually being announced. It was just for weird 4 wordplay. Anyway, let's look at the actual Disney Park Vlog website, all the announcements. Horizons D23 Disney Experiences Showcase. D23 Marketplace, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm here for. The biggest announcements at D23. Disney Cruise Line announces 4 new cruise ships, bracket, / Strawn. That's some good HTML work, everyone. I will say, less cruise ship news than I feared there would be, because I always zone out during the cruise ship news. More Fortnite news than I needed there to be, but at least it wasn't, a whole chunk dedicated to Target. And thankfully, far less story living than I feared there would be. I know, like, they really had to, like, Tomorrow really had to assuage all of our nerves after they brought, fucking Dick Van Dyke out to announce something that never got built. And then when the plans were leaked, it turns out it would have been a disappointment. Although I do have the theory that that wasn't necessarily set in stone. I have the theory that several different Mary Poppins attractions were pitched as possibilities, and that's the only one whose concept art was leaked. I have the theory that, like, basically the assignment the Imagineers were given was, like, pitch a Mary Poppins attraction, a ticket, 2 e-ticket, pitch them all, and have them all on my desk by 5. And, well, it's about experiences, which I guess includes games now that I don't know if Disney Interactive is also a thing. I don't know. So let's just look at somewhere here. Latest stories. Okay, here we got the full D23. Let's see. Disney Cruise Line, don't care. Disney and Epic Games collaboration, don't care. Monsters Inc. Land. This is obviously one of the most important. Now it opened in a new tab, and now I got a reshare tab. Hold on a second. Share, different tab. Monsters Inc. Land. Okay. So it's, the coaster idea everyone's dreamed of since the movie came out. But I will say making it a suspended coaster is a twist on the idea that I hadn't thought of. So I'm excited about that. Well, we'll get to that. Because let's scroll through the different concept art. Now, granted, I have not been to Florida in over a decade. I'm hoping to take a visit soon just because it's been so long, and also because I may need to visit some things before they go away. So this is the piece of concept art. People who have been to Florida more recently than me are nervous because they say this piece of concept art looks a lot like Muppets Courtyard. That's what people tell me, like that this looks a lot like the Grand Muppets Courtyard. However, other people say that this concept art looks more like Animation Courtyard. And that would be the far more acceptable loss. I think Alicia Stella also had a layout of how it could easily be the Rock and Roller Coaster replacement, which, as much as I would be sad to lose Rock and Roller Coaster, that would be a more acceptable loss than Muppet Vision. But yeah, Animation Courtyard, maybe I'm just overdosing on hopium here because I don't want to lose Muppet Vision, but Animation Courtyard makes more sense to lose for multiple reasons, especially because, like, if I remember the layout of that area correctly, like this Harryhausen's logo in the bottom left corner here looks like that's kind of about the placement where Little Mermaid is. And see, shows can be moved more easily than rides. So my other piece of hopium is if this is replacing Muppets Courtyard, maybe they can move Muppet Vision somewhere else, but I don't know. But here's the reason. So yeah, maybe I'm overdosing on hopium because I really don't want to lose Muppet Vision. I think Animation Courtyard makes the most sense for a couple reasons. The prime one being that's the side of the park that the Pixar stuff is on anyway. Like that is, very close to Toy Story Land and very close to what's left of Pixar Place, the alley that's left of Pixar Place there. And it makes sense that the right side of the park is just where, the north end of the park, like this is just where Pixar is. It makes sense to have the Pixar all kind of flow into each other. Animation Courtyard also is just expendable because, again, Star Wars Launch Bay is expendable. I still think that replacing Rock and Roller Coaster is a more acceptable loss than replacing Muppet Vision. And like with Aerosmith retiring, I don't know if that's something they have in mind, but I also don't know if that's actively a concern of theirs or not. People have also suggested that there's space to the north of the park that is just untapped, so this could be an expansion. We're not losing anything. I'm also optimistic because that's true. I keep forgetting that that's there. I've never even watched a video of it. I'm also optimistic because for all of Disney's problems lately, they've been pretty good at expanding rather than replacing whenever possible. Like the fact that, Tron in Magic Kingdom did not replace Space Mountain. And I feel like with Hollywood Studios, especially, they would want an additional roller coaster to go with Rock and Roller Coaster rather than to replace Rock and Roller Coaster. Yes, exactly. And again, with Tron and Space Mountain being basically right next to each other, it makes sense to continue that strategy of to the right of the entrance, two big roller coasters are pretty close to each other. I also don't think they would want to fully like the other reason I think Muppet Courtyard is safe, or at least my fingers are crossed that Muppet Courtyard is safe, is I don't think they want to do a new massive refurb to the area right outside Galaxy's Edge that's not in the name of expanding Galaxy's Edge. Like the biggest threat to Muppet Vision in my mind would be deciding Star Tours needs to actually flow into Batuu. Now I could be completely wrong here. Maybe Muppet Vision is on its way out. But the other reason I have a little bit of hope is when they announced Indy coming to Animal Kingdom, they made a point of saying you will have time to say goodbye to Dinosaur. And in this case, they haven't said anything about like you will have time to say goodbye to whatever. Like they're not acknowledging that we're saying goodbye to anything. And even if they don't want to keep Muppet Vision open, they know how important it is to people. So unless they just didn't want to get their asses booed off the stage, I feel like they would have mentioned, you know, a celebration, a farewell celebration for Muppet Vision. So again, the people who are nervous that this looks like Muppets Courtyard, but then also pointing out this looks more like Animation Courtyard, that's not impossible, because that is a pretty big footprint. In that case, it would be sad to lose like one of the last remaining Magic of the Movies types attractions, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about that possibility. But yeah, the fact that people are saying these two pieces of concept art look like two different parts of the park, I'm again chalking up to the idea of like they had to present multiple different concepts for where it could go with the same basic idea. So maybe this one is drawn to be, well, if we replace Muppet Courtyard, here's what it looks like. And this one was drawn to be, if we replace Animation Courtyard, here's what it looks like. And maybe they were like kind of trying to gauge like what audience reaction would be before they actually choose a spot to break ground on. So I really hope I'm not wrong about this. You know, I'm cautiously anxious about the future of Muppet Vision, but I'm not rending garments just yet. It's also the Muppet Vision footprint. Muppet Courtyard footprint is not that big unless you expand into the parking lot, which they could do, but like that's not a roller coaster size amount of space. And I feel like the animation building, the launch bay, could be a roller coaster size amount of space. So it's possible. I could also see them just retiring Laugh Floor, but it's possible because like the way Damaro was describing it with the, you know, humans will set foot into Monstropolis and our laughs and screams will power them. That kind of is already the premise of Laugh Floor. So it's possible. But I also would not be surprised if they're just gradually phasing out Laugh Floor, or even if they just, you know, in a Buzz Lightyear way, just still keep it open in the other park for now. Anyway, there's Pete Docter and Billy Crystal and Josh Damaro. Again, yeah, I just think that's the most expendable corner of the park right now. I say as someone who has not set foot in the park ever since all the other expendable corners got filled in with stuff. We'll see. It's like I also don't want to be too pessimistic, but I don't want to be too optimistic either, because like there's two attractions, you know, for my mind, in the history of theme park attractions, there have been plenty of attractions that I've been disappointed to lose, but I always understand why they need to be updated or why they need to be replaced. And I can handle it a lot more when one still exists on the other coast. But like by and large, attractions, I'm like, when it's their time to go, I'm grateful for the time I had with them, but I'm ready to see what comes next. The only two attractions in theme park history that I feel are like deal breakers, like that are essential pieces of the parks they're in, and that closing them is an actual crime. Muppet Vision, because it's Jim Henson's final film, and the Huff and Puff, which already closed, so what the fuck do I know? And also, obviously, the opinions expressed in this live stream do not reflect the opinions of my employers, because they're the ones who closed the Huff and Puff, which was fucking stupid of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'm still hopeful that we're not losing Muppet Vision, um, but I don't know. The Huff and Puff at Camp Snoopy is the was the children's handcar ride that was the best ride ever when I was 5 years old, and it cost nothing to run, and it was extremely popular and extremely low maintenance. And Knott's closed it so that they could expand the truck ride that nobody likes. So, real smart work, Knott's. Okay, let's let's take a look at my coast for a little bit here. Okay, Avatar and California Adventure. If I trusted WDWNT more, that would be more of a load off my mind. But the fact of the matter is, I do not trust them very much. Then again, usually I don't trust them when they announce something is closing, not when they announce something is staying open. So we'll see. All right. So Pandora for California Adventure. I give them credit that it's not just the cheap ass version of the experience. Like when they said a Pandora experience is coming to Anaheim, we were like, well, that could mean anything from a walkthrough to just like a Void VR thing. So I will give them credit for an actual land. I am hoping that this is a Disneyland Forward expansion and not replacing Grizzly Peak, because Grizzly Peak is like the last authentically Californian part of California Adventure, aside from like arguably Hollywoodland, but Hollywoodland is barely anything. Honestly, I would prefer it to replace Hollywoodland than I would to replace Grizzly Peak. So, like, this concept art looks like it could be crammed into Grizzly Peak, but it also just looks like a terrain we haven't seen before. So I hope this is earmarked for a Disneyland Forward expansion pad. But we'll find out. I haven't been to Avatar Land in Florida yet, but I hear good things. Again, theme park, that seems likely to me. That seems very likely to me. I just don't know again where it'll go. But yeah, Avatar always to me seemed better suited for theme park than movies, because nobody cares about the characters, but everybody loves the environment, so it's perfect for a theme park. So I am okay with it coming to DCA as long as we're not losing anything like real essential for it. Similarly, Coco. I wish it would open these in the same tab so I didn't have to futz with StreamYard like this. A lot of boats announced, not just the cruise ships, but like most rides announced were water rides. I liked that they brought the Oogie Boogie Bash Ernesto de la Cruz out on stage to lip sync just a little out of sync. They could have like a Dia de los Muertos, like a memory shrine for for whatever attraction they replace, much like the Mr. Toad gravestone at Mansion in Florida. I guess I'm impressed that the first Coco attraction is going to be a new ride and not just a Grand Fiesta retheme. That's honestly that honestly surprises me. Um, and I like the idea of a little Coco Land. It feels more California, even though it's Mexico. It feels more Californian than a lot of what is in California Adventure. Um, it does sound like it's going to be a book report ride, but there's a lot of vistas in Coco that'll make for good show scenes. Um, I suspect this will also be Disneyland forward, or probably Disneyland forward. Like, I would, my theory would be this would be like right on the other side of Pixar Pier. Like this would be like where you like where that Pixar Pier, like that parade route door is now. Like that would probably be the pathway to Coco. Either that, or it'll just straight up replace the Paradise Garden Grill, which is possible. Just expanding Pixar Pier out that way, segueing into Coco, and that would be. I don't know if they would want to lose their biggest, like, like their biggest food festival restaurant, especially when DCA is 90% food festivals these days. But we'll see. I also just personally would be more okay with Coco replacing things than with Avatar replacing things, just because it's a movie I like better. Let's see what other these announcements are kind of all out of order on this blog page. Epic Games, don't care about. Monsters Inc. We already looked at. Oh yeah, Cars at Magic Kingdom. Let's talk about this because this is surprising in a couple of ways. So I know the theory was going around that Beyond Big Thunder would just be a Cars Land clone, and it's not quite. Even though this looks like I don't hate the movies, they just leave no impact on me. What's interesting is this looks like it could be a modified version of the Radiator Springs Racers ride system, but just with different terrain. Because like this concept art here, it looks like the last show scene of Radiator Springs Racers, just in a different environment. You know what I mean? That's possible. That's possible. So I'm guessing this is going to be like a modified. I don't know if they'd make it so close to Radiator Springs Racers though, just because they already have Test Track. But then again, well, I don't know. But also the fact that it's just part of Frontierland is confusing to me. Again, I'm guessing this is part expansion. Like I'm guessing this is a little beyond Big Thunder, but just still roped in as part of Frontierland. Okay, well that would be funny. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. And also, I guess the Shibuzi musical number is the one that I would cut because, boy, Life is a Highway was not in his key. I also had no idea. Like, I had never heard of Shibuzi until a couple of months ago. And the only reason I heard about him is because he came to Knott's and met with Snoopy. And I am just to the right off camera of this picture, directing guests to go around this photo op for Knott's social media. And the comments are mostly people asking, who is he? So, but yes, I'm just off camera on this picture, and I helped guide Snoopy to where he was supposed to meet Shabuzi, someone that I was fully unfamiliar with. And then he sang Life is a Highway, not in his key. So Tom Sawyer's Island. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's expendable in the eyes of most people. I don't know. Okay, so the next thing as I'm scrolling down, even though it was the final announcement, Villains Land. They gave us no details about this. They just gave us this piece of concept art and confirmed that it's happening.
Magic mirror on the
concept
wall.
video, which is just a
Who
reel
now
of
is the
villains
fairest one of all?
looking in mirrors, basically. But I like that Yzma's part of the promo reel.
You poor simple fools.
So yeah, very little information about Villains Land. If it's just Mickey's House of Villains, the land, I'm okay with that. Okay. Tropical Americas at Animal Kingdom. I have been beating the drum of replace Dino Land ever since my very first visit to Animal Kingdom, so I'm fully on board with this. I've been beating the drum of Dino Land, or Dinosaur is just a weak-ass Indiana Jones clone. Now, that said, the fact that it's a new Indy attraction means that it still could be a weak-ass Indiana Jones clone, even when they add Indy back to it. Exactly. The bane of Disney World's existence. I am like, this looks pretty in the concept art, and that's something that cannot be said about Chester and Hester. See, my theory is that dinosaurs might still be part of this, because my theory is that the creature Indy's looking for in this hidden temple might be some sort of a dinosaur. And considering how one of the original ideas for the Indiana Jones sequel, before they went with Temple of Doom instead, was to have Indy encounter dinosaurs, which would have fucking rocked. And I'm not just saying that because Temple of Doom is far and away my least favorite Indiana Jones movie. So I wouldn't be surprised if the creature that yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if the creature in the temple that Indy is encountering is some sort of a dinosaur. And but yeah, I'm anxious about it being like, it's interesting that we're going to have now 3 different Indy rides that have the same system and track layout, but have different narratives. So, like, just adding Indy to the existing ride isn't going to solve that ride's problems of being too damn dark to see anything. But the I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I do like this carousel concept. Like it's about as interesting as a carousel can be. Yeah, Indy's heard rumors about a mythical creature deep within the temple, and he's got to see it for himself. So he brings us along for the adventure. But will there be snakes? So it could be a dinosaur. It could be a dragon. Honestly, this could be their way of getting Beastly Kingdom in there. Yeah, the concept art looks nice. The Encanto ride, you know, it's a gimme. It seems fun. Oh, Oh yeah, the Zootopia show. Have they still not announced when Tough to Be a Bug is closing? I don't know. I won't like miss Tough to Be a Bug, but I'll kind of miss Tough to Be a Bug. But yeah, most of the Animal Kingdom announcements have me on a scale of interested to okay. All right. First ever Walt Disney audio animatronic figure. All I can say is we will see how creepy this is. I'm glad that it's not fully replacing Lincoln. I'm glad that it's going to be in rotation with Lincoln. I do think it's funny that Walt didn't even want statues built of him in his lifetime. Famously, when Blaine Gibson came to him with a prototype bust of Walt, which now resides in the Family Museum, Walt looked at it and said, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this? Statues are for dead people." So I like that there's like this turntable stage where like one side of it is going to be Lincoln and one side of it is going to be Walt. You know, the general Walt worship never goes away. So it'll be interesting to say the least to see I mean, we know this thing is going to be reverent as all get out. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I also assume that like hologram Walt that was at that touring museum exhibit, I assume that was like a prototype for whatever this show was going to be. And when they figured like animatronic looks better. Okay. Avengers experiences around the globe. It sounds like they're building a new animatronic from scratch, but I don't know. Okay, like I said, I liked all the Deadpool jokes. I thought it was a good shtick. I liked the one concept art sketch he had where there was the R.I.P. Rocket Rod's gravestone. I liked his jokes about dragons catching on fire. I guess that is true. But okay. The Shanghai Disneyland Spider-Man coaster looks neat. I'm hoping that this is an animatronic Spidey, but it's probably a screen. Like I'm just knowing it's probably akin to, you know, the Abominable Snowman climbing up alongside you on Matterhorn, the projection. Hong Kong getting a Spider-Man Tower of Terror. That's a fun idea. Like it seems like they're kind of adapting the feeling of the Washington Monument scene from Homecoming, but adding Doc Ock to it, so that's fun. Adding Mr. Jennifer Lee himself. I don't think Molina will necessarily be reprising the role of Doc Ock, but it is funny how, okay, we now have so many attractions that we now have so many, we're going to have so many Disney Marvel attractions that pick and choose elements of Islands of Adventure's Spider-Man ride. For example, here's a Spider-Man ride with Doc Ock, but not that one. We currently have a 3D Spider-Man ride with Adventure in the title, but not that one. And we are about to get an Avengers e-ticket with basically the well, we don't have the picture here, but it's there we go. It's basically the Spider-Man
Stand by for retinal and
vehicle.
biometric scan. Complete.
Whoa.
Initiating Avengers Campus renderings. Size
exactly.
doubling
It's like we
of
keep
area
getting all
is
these elements
active.
of,
Accessing Avengers Infinity Defense now.
Spider-Man
Technology
ride,
to
of the
jump between
Universal
worlds
Spider-Man
is
ride, which,
missing.
you know, is
Havoc wrecking detected.
fun.
Recruits needed in Asgard,
Putting
Wakanda,
elements
and
cloned
more to
by
defeat
Disney, but they
Thanos.
can't just clone
Wait,
the whole
you
thing.
said W?
They don't own that.
Who else is
But we
coming?
also get a Kuka
Start
ride.
Flight Lab coming soon. New flight equipment is in need of
And
testing
that's
at
interesting.
Tony Stark's
The proto
workshop.
video made it look like there will be actual motion. It's not just like Sum of All Thrills. So that's interesting. And I honestly like this move. I honestly feel like if we're not going to get the original Blue Sky Avengers ride that was originally pitched, that could have been like nothing we had ever seen before, and instead we're getting the scaled down version, I feel like getting 2 okay new rides for Avengers Campus is maybe not as good as getting 1 amazing new ride, but it's comparably good because at least it's like it's not just 1 new thing that disappoints. It's 1 new thing that has the potential to disappoint. It's 2 things that could be at least kind of fun. But yeah, like I said, it looks like it looked like from the concept clip showed that they will be moving on a track, so it'll be probably not Forbidden Journey level, but at least that like Legoland Kuka ride level, hopefully. We'll see. And the rewritability of multiple hero experiences, that's that's not a bad thing. So I'm surprised they're finding room for all this, and that's why I'm not super optimistic about either of them being amazing. But if both of them are okay, I will. If the only amazing ride in Avengers Campus is Mission Breakout, that's still an amazing ride. If it's 1 amazing ride and 3 okay rides, that's still better than a lot of lands. Well, no, that's probably not. I was going to say, I wonder if some of this is like rerouting space used for the Sanctum since they closed that live show, but I don't think that works out geographically. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm mostly optimistic about Avengers Campus. Lion King ride in Paris. What confused me about this, like this is going to be the main event. No, it's not. And I know you're quoting Just Can't Wait to Be King, but that was a pun. You got to spell it Mane. Like, never occurred to me how much the Pride Rock design really lends itself to a Splash Mountain clone. So, as a Splash Mountain, I'm okay with it. Yeah, that's what threw me is like Damaro was he kept very specifically mentioning, the original classic for 30 years we've loved it, and this is based on the classic animated film. But the concept art, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, again, this was concept art that had to be pitched and they thought to get it approved, it would need to be the remake. But then when they talked to them, they were like, we can make it the original. I feel like I feel like over the past like 2-3 decades, every month there has been a new pitch for a Splash Mountain retheme, and Tiana is just the one that they chose when that fan pitch went viral, and then Disney was like, "Hey, guess what? We're kind of doing that. Not exactly as you imagine it, but here's the one we already pitched." And I guess it just like I still think it just got greenlit in the wake of the fan discussion. We don't have much to go off of there, but that could be fun. They also said there'd be like a Lion King themed restaurant, so I'm guessing we're going to eat a lot of pill bugs. Let's see, Coco Adventure. We already looked at that. Tiana is opening November 15th at Disneyland. 2 new lounges coming to Disney World, and they seem nice. Test Track reopening in 2025. Now, Okay. New mission coming to Smugglers Run. Long fucking overdue. I'm neutral on the fact that it's Mandalorian themed specifically, but there just needed to be rotating missions in Smugglers Run. Honestly, since day one, there needed to be rotating missions right away. I don't love that we're getting away from the canon timeline of Galaxy's Edge because I really liked that a theme park attraction was finally being taken as seriously as a storytelling medium as books and movies were. But at this point, I will accept any reason for there to be a new Smugglers Run mission. I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Hopefully it's just the first of many. Let's see. World of Frozen, Disney Adventure World, World of Frozen coming. Sure. Never been to that Studios Park in Paris. Never been to Paris. But I know that Studios Park needs all the help it can get. And new nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom. I'm neutral on that. Parades are not really my thing, even though I did like Paint the Night a lot. See, I know. But the thing is, they made such a big deal about, like, when they were starting the new timeline leading up to Force Awakens, they were like, from now on, it's all canon. The old expanded universe has never been canon, no matter what dorks on the internet say. Never been canon. George Lucas ignored that shit all the time. Case in point, the canonical backstories given to Boba Fett before George decided that he was just a clone. And they made such a big deal about from now on, the stuff we're making is canon. And now it's like theme parks don't count in that anymore. And that's a bummer because that's my favorite storytelling medium. So why are you taking it less seriously than other storytelling mediums? It's not even that I mind beloved characters showing up in Galaxy's Edge. I just wish there was a better way to clearly delineate in which part of Galaxy's Edge, which like part of the timeline you're in. But whatever. So the big thing though, still absolutely no Tomorrowland info, despite the fact that there was a lot of Tomorrowland in like the orchestral, like they really showcased Tomorrowland in the graphics during the orchestral performance. Still absolutely no Journey into Imagination info. Basically no Epcot info at all, except for a lounge, despite the fact that the thing was called Horizons. They basically were like, yeah, Epcot's done now, even though we did about half the shit we announced. So I don't know. There was more actual information than I have come to expect from these panels, but less than maybe I need. But yeah, those are my broad thoughts. Again, I'm hopeful that we're not losing Muppet Vision. I'm indifferent that we are losing Dinosaur. I'm curious about how DCA is being reshaped. I don't know. We'll just see how everything goes. Fucking same. Fortnite is the new Target, but at least Fortnite is something that people like have fun playing, so it's more acceptable than just Target, a store that I shop at frequently, but I don't understand the push for Target to become a personality trait. Like the t-shirts you see that like I need my Target and my Starbucks and my Disney. It's like, okay, the other two things are actual matters of taste, but Target is where you go to get the same things you get at Vons. Like I don't understand how it's a personality trait. Yeah, the Patrick sketch was good. Yeah, it was the perfect, like, the whole thing felt more like an award show than an announcement show. And the award show shit was very well done award show shit. Like opening parody sketch of Beloved Thing. And again, hokey parody songs of related to the things. Like, Yeah. Although to give them the modicum of a benefit of the doubt, I don't think Dinosaur, like, I know there are people who love Dinosaur, but it's not like the culturally nostalgic thing that Splash Mountain is. Mostly space. Well, those are the gist of my thoughts. But yeah, hopefully Muppet Vision is still here as I drink from my Super Yaki Muppet mug. And also, I just want to know when Tough to Be a Bug is closing. Because if I can get down, I'd like to see it one last time. But if it's just like unfeasible, then well, whatever. It's just that we had so little warning when it closed in California. Like, it closed really quickly. Like, I think they announced its closure. Like, I think they announced it wasn't coming back in the middle of like it being previews for Zootopia or something. Kind of like how they didn't announce Muppet Vision wasn't coming back until we were well into, for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along. So, I don't know. But if we're losing Muppet Vision, I hope they just announce it for real so that, like, I will book a flight to do Muppet Vision one last time, if necessary. But again, I'm really hoping it doesn't come to that. If Rock and Roller Coaster is going away, I would also miss it, but not as much as Muppet Vision. But I guess, my pitch to preserve Rock and Roller Coaster was to replace it with Muppets. So if the other option is it sacrificing itself so the Muppets can continue to live, I can accept that. You know what? Fair enough. It did start very late for the award show shit to just keep going on. I could live with that. Look, there's precedent in Florida for moving shows. There's less precedent for moving rides. But, like, they moved Festival of the Lion King. Muppet Vision would be harder to move, but still easier to move than an actual ride. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But more announcements I'm optimistic about than not. Very few announcements that I'm mad about. A couple of announcements I'm confused about. Yeah, if you see me at Knott's, feel free to say hi. If I'm with a character who has a line, I apologize if I can't talk for very long, but please do say hi if you see me. Okay, what I'm going to do now is we're going to close out this live stream shortly. I'm going to take a little break just to, get a snack and stuff and to rest my throat for a bit. And then I'm going to go live on Patreon where we can continue chatting about this, but also we're going to do our standard riff writing session. So in about 10, 15 minutes or so, I will see you over on patreon.com/Doggins. If you wish to join me behind the paywall for further streaming. And if you want to ask me further questions about, stuff I breeze past in my opinions on the panel. But yeah, we will be picking up, going live behind the paywall in about 10 or 15 minutes. So for those of you who will join me over there, I'll see you then. And for those of you who are leaving us here, have a great rest of your day. And until I talk to you next, this is Dave signing off.